Hi everyone, I'm Peter Schmidt, Customer Success Agent at AX Semantics, and today I'm going to tell you how AX Semantics can help you with your content needs, what we do, and how our text machine actually works. What will we cover today? First, I'll introduce our company a bit so that you see where we come from. We will talk about the automated content writing. We will talk about how does the content automation actually work. And I think for the most interesting part, I will show you how the software actually looks and how you implement a text project in there. Who is AX Semantics? See a few of our faces. I'm this one. This is our founder. We are a small company situated in Stuttgart, Germany. We have around 40 employees. And before we made the text automation software, we were a content house. At some point, we noticed that most of the content we wrote could also be written by our text machine. So we started developing this tool for automated content writing and developed it into the product we have and you know today. What's automated content writing? Automated content writing, as we do it, is putting data to a readable text. As an example, look at the conversion we did for this data set. It's about a tire. We have several features of that tire. Each tire has a manufacturer. It has a name, of course. It's for a season in the year, and so on and so on. And our machine can create a human readable text for it, and it can also create evaluations for the customer so that you can support your customer in the decision of which tire to buy. So for example, we have something called a load index, for example. It's how much a tire can bear, how much weight it can bear. And in our machine, we implemented rules so that you can give out the information on which kind of machine the tire can be mounted, and by that, give that information to your customer as a consultant would do in a brick and mortar store, for example. The product description, as you see here for the e-commerce sector, is our mainstay. We can do certain other types of content. So for example, in here, we have a text created, which is a description about a soccer game. Same thing, we have the input in machine readable form, like when was the first goal, who shot it, which team was it for, and so on and so forth. And all the events in one soccer game are in a machine readable form given to us, and our machine can display a text that describes what happened in the game. And you can see everything that's in the left side can be used in the right side for making decisions, for making the text more lively, and for giving the information what happened. As said, our mainstay is the e-commerce sector, where we usually have to have a lot of product descriptions based on very repeating data, and the descriptions are usually on very repeating products, and our machine is perfect for that. Other sectors that we've already seen and done are in the publishing area. For example, we did weather reports. We have game reports, as I just showed you, for soccer games. We can write stock reports, all of that stuff, where the common thing is there is repeating data that's structured the same all the time as an input. Same thing for finance and banking, for example. We had customers that did financial analysis and reporting who automated their internal company reporting and financial reporting for their superiors so that the analysts that did them had more time actually analyzing and saved time in writing ever repeating reports. Similar thing in the pharma sector, we gave our machine data inputs about studies, clinical trials, and our machine put the results in readable words in a text so that a reader didn't need to walk through a ton of tables of result data, but had a short form to read what the study actually produced as a result. What problems can automated content solve for you? Automated content can help you create the content faster, because once it's configured in our machine, for example, the time from adding a data set to our system to producing the finished text is just seconds. For example, you are an e-commerce business and you get some new stock. You can have the description for all of that stock in a few seconds if you'd like, even automated, so that you don't have to come to us, which helps you to put your products up for sale much, much faster. Another great opportunity you have with our system is you can save in costs, because for each kind of product, you have to produce or to configure the text only once. And it doesn't matter if you produce content for one product or for a million products, you do the same work for all of them, which saves huge amounts of costs. So because you don't have to text for one single project or for each product anymore, but you have to configure a text construct, which is then applicable to as many products as you have. When you're writing manually, also usually you write once for each product. You don't refresh the content. You don't put like seasonal information into that product text because it just isn't feasible to write for each of your products again and again and again. With our machine, you can do that because you have configured it at the first time, and now you have free time to reconfigure it to what's current to your situation. Like, yeah, as said, seasonal information, for example, or specific holidays and all that kind of stuff. Also, not just time dependency can be done with that, but also you can personalize your content specifically for your customer. So depending on what the customer needs to know at any certain time in their life cycle, you can give them the perfect information that he needs at that time. And the last, but also a very huge advantage with our system is that you can produce all of that content in any language you could need. So usually you would create the content in one language and then give it to translators, and the work would multiply. But in our system, as I said, you create that configuration for a text once and do that for every language. And after that, the text generation for all of your languages comes down to the press of a button. So these are the benefits of our system really quickly. Some results from our customers: they increased productivity by 150%, which means they had a much larger text output for every given copywriter. One specific customer saved up to €1 million saving support costs because the descriptions for each product were more specific and the customer was much better informed about the product, and the returns plummeted. You see, it's the same customer that these two numbers come from. The returns plummeted by 30%, and they saved on all that processing of that stuff just because the products were described right. Also, we see huge gains in rankings for these products in search engines, and with that also conversion rates usually go up because, as said, the products are described better. How does content automation work at all? Content automation usually always follows the same process. You give us the data about your products. You configure a rule set, which actually happens in our system. You tell our machine what it should say and give it rules when it should say what. And after that's done, our machine can then apply this rule set to each of your data sets and produces the content for you. This content then is given back to you, and you can deploy it on your online store or any other channels you might have. If you'd like, you can also gain insights on the results of that deployment to see what kind of texts are working best, if they're working at all, if you see any change, if you have success with your content work, or if you don't. I have prepared a test project in our software, and I'll now go over there to show you how that works. I'm in our platform right now. This is the start of a project that you usually see. And the interface reflects the process I just showed you. So first you have to give our machine some data about the product. I have given our machine data about mobile phones in here, which consists of the following. So we have a name, again, like at the tires. Remember, our mobile phones have brand, they have a color, they are of the category smartphone, and so on and so forth. Just a rather small feature set for each phone. When I go to another phone, you see the structure of the data stays the same, but the data itself changes to what is appropriate. This is the stuff you should, or you would, provide to us to create your own content. Once the data is in our system, we can analyze it over here. We can look at what we can expect in the data, how many of the data sets have data. So for example, you see the display size is not given always, and by that you can learn on what to expect in your data and create and configure your content accordingly. The next step after you know your data would be to write statements. Statements are what we call the sentences that our machine can print in the end. So I prepared, for example, a headline which says Samsung Galaxy Note 16 gigabytes, and I have already connected to the brand, to the name of the phone, and the memory size, and I have created two more sentences. So this is the structure that the result text in the end would look like. Please notice that we have these branchings to create variants in our projects. So for any given statements, you can have several ways to output the same stuff. If you please read this statement and this statement. thanks to the 3 inches of display, it is one of the larger models on the market. This larger model has 3 inches of display. You notice it says the same, but in 2 different ways. And our machine can switch between these 2 ways to say things at random, or you can trigger it by certain decisions. I'll come to that later. But that's one of the main ways we create variants in our system. You can create these branchings on several levels and in each statement. So what you see here is pretty much on the level of an adlib text with an included spinner. You can also create decisions that evaluate your data and give the correct meaning, or can give the correct expressions in a sentence depending on the data. So please look at the size of the display here. So I have the option to say this larger model has 3 inches of display, or this smaller model has 3 inches of display. So the smartphone I am creating this preview with, the Galaxy Note 4, is a smaller one. When I select the larger phone, I think it should be this one exactly. You see it switches around. This larger model has 5 inches of display. So the number was greater, and my decision to say that it's a larger one has changed. It is now a larger one and no longer a smaller one for our system. How are these decisions made? We have this, what we call transform area, because we transform the data in here. And I simply wrote a condition: if the input data for display size is larger than 5, it is a large phone. And if the display size is smaller than 5, it is a small phone. These 2 switches are then used over here for this word. You see, for this green tick, the trigger is large, same over here. So that's how we do decisions. These decisions can be pretty complex. We have a lot of functions and conditions that we add to this transform area so that you can check for even the most complex conditions in your data to create correct meaning in your statements and in your content. A created text in our system would look like this. Let's look at the Samsung Galaxy Note 4. So with this configuration, you can see out of this data, I make this content. It's short for this example, but imagine you have a statement for each of these data points. You would have pretty substantial content already. After the configuration of the content is done, we can create the content for it. You see, let's click on Generate All. Now our system puts all of this content at the end of its queue, and at some point it will be generated. Here it is. Everything's done. So we just have automated content for product data that we put into our system. That's it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your interest in AX Semantics. If you have any more questions about our system, you can contact me. You can contact our support or our sales department. Just talk to us if you need anything. Again, thank you for your time. See you in the next webinar, and bye-bye.